There is still an alarming lack of diversity and inclusion in the workplace today, particularly among the neurodivergent and disabled. Recognizing it's time for workplaces around the globe to increase their diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, Rangam is a minority, woman, and disability-owned company, creating solutions for workforces which remove bias, eliminate barriers, and embrace intersectionality. Rangam's approach to a more inclusive future is twofold: connecting talent with companies and educating businesses about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. In addition to providing training to organizations to promote more inclusive environments, Rangam is spearheading diversity solutions like SourceAbled, which links talented neurodivergent candidates up with employers. Organizations must rethink and recalibrate their hiring strategies and make disability inclusion a priority. Disability and neurodivergent adults just need to be given a chance to achieve life-changing independence and upward mobility. Learn more today about Rangam. Empathy drives innovation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's LinkedIn REDi Chat. I'm Evan Mackey. I'm going to be the host today for this exciting session. And today also is a very special day as we discuss veterans in the workplace. We have an extraordinary individual with us, John Bryson. He is our very own Learning and Development Director here at Rangam Consultants. And before we get into, though, his wealth of insights, I want to take a quick moment, first and foremost, just to acknowledge the historical significance of today. Today is Pearl Harbor Day, for anybody that does not know. On this solemn day, we do remember and honor the brave individuals who faced unimaginable challenges during a pivotal moment in history. And these lessons from history remind us of the strength that comes from unity and understanding. Now, again, my name is Evan Mackey. I'm an Army veteran. I am the National Sales Director here at Rangam, and my job function at the Army was in civil affairs. For those of you that do not know what civil affairs is, it has a strong affiliation within the humanitarian space, and it works to help mitigate impacts on civilian populations. With that background, I do feel truly blessed to now be working with a company that not only complements that line of effort, but also aligns with values of inclusivity and empathy. Rangam is a minority, woman, and disability-owned total talent management firm, and we work in traditional staffing, but we also work and specialize within autism, neurodiversity, and disability staffing services. Through our Source Vets program, we serve veterans and veterans with service-connected disabilities or neurodivergence. We are a force dedicated to accelerating meaningful employment for everyone, and specifically today, our veteran communities. Our commitment extends to ensuring their success while fostering inclusive workspaces. In fact, as a testament to our dedication in providing staffing solutions to these unique talent audiences, we were recently recognized with the Supplier of the Year Award at the Disability In Conference. Now, without further ado, let us turn our attention to our key speaker for today. I have the privilege to introduce John Bryson. John's a subject matter expert in disability inclusion in the workplace, and his role as our Learning and Development Director involves strategically designing and launching each of our clients. And now, to ease all of our anticipation, John, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Evan. Such kind remarks. I really appreciate that intro and your service. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. Really appreciate you being here. As Evan said, I'm John Bryson, and he shared a little bit about my role as a Learning and Development Director. I provide and help lead the development of training topics for our clients. I have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so I have lived experience as a disabled and neurodivergent individual. And that's probably the most important part of my background and my subject matter expertise. But over the last 17 years, I've had the honor of working to address barriers encountered by many individuals with disabilities, whether it was as a teacher, a counselor, consultant, or a friend. So throughout my career, I've been able to support and collaborate with many disabled veterans, helping them transition into meaningful civilian careers, hearing their stories, hearing about the things that they go through. And so I'm really honored to provide this conversation today and help guide us through it. So again, thank you for joining us. We're not even a month now, if I remember correctly, and I've done my math properly, a month now removed from Veterans Day celebration in the US. So if you're not familiar and you're joining us outside the US, the Veterans Day is a time of really deep reflection for our nation and expressing gratitude for those who've served. And many of us have family members who've served. I know I do, or we've served ourselves. And I hope the lessons and commitments that are embodied by Veterans Day continue to resonate with you a month later now, as I know they do for us here at Rangam. So we specialize in helping organizations attract and support exceptional talent, including those with disabilities, neurodivergent conditions, and autism, as well as helping talent connect with great opportunities for careers. And that may be the most important thing we do. I know it's the thing we take the most joy in is helping people connect with wonderful career opportunities. And having that specialty has afforded us the privilege over the years to work with so many amazing veterans. And in that time, we've learned an incredible amount about inclusivity. So today we're here to deepen our understanding of the unique challenges that veterans with disabilities face in the workplace. And I want to uncover some strategies that you all can implement to make the workplace more inclusive. So our session objectives are really clear here today for this REDi Chat. We want to understand the intersectionality of veterans and their unique needs within that broader concept of neurodiversity. We want to discuss actionable strategies that allow us to adapt the workplace to be more inclusive. And then finally, we want to highlight our shared collective role in fostering a supportive and understanding work environment for veterans. Now, I do want to say one thing before I really dive into the content, and that's that a single day of remembrance, like Veterans Day, should not be where all of our commitments end. Our commitments should be woven into the fabric of our daily operations, our daily work, our daily interactions, and our long-term strategies. So keep that in mind as we go through this, because I find it to be incredibly important. Veterans Day is not where all of our strategies should reside, but should be representative of other things that we're doing. So let's dig in. Take a moment to consider the diversity of our veterans, and that'll kick us off with understanding veterans with disabilities. So veterans have served across different continents, various conditions, all the while safeguarding the values we cherish. Their service to our country's unparalleled, we can all agree, but their journey doesn't pause when they return to civilian life. It evolves. And with that transition, brings forth a whole new set of challenges and opportunities for all veterans, not only for them, but also for us as employers or colleagues to understand and embrace diversity in its truest form. Veterans really represent a microcosm of society, and their experiences are unique. Many come home bearing the invisible and visible marks of their service. So talking about conditions like PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, hearing loss, limb amputations, more mental health conditions, for example. These are not merely medical terms to be cataloged in health records. They're lived experiences of real people that enrich our understanding of resilience, adaptability. 30% of veterans report a disability, and that's contrast with approximately 15% in the broader population. So that figure, it's significant and its difference. That figure brings to light the unique perspectives that veterans with disabilities offer and veterans in general offer, and the untapped potential they possess and the innovative pathways they can inspire in our workplaces. But it's an unfortunate truth. It also means that for veterans with disabilities, there are added barriers to their transition into civilian life that they face because they have disabilities and they're veterans. So when we speak of neurodiversity, this is a concept that will really help us to start to understand many of the barriers that veterans with disabilities will encounter. When we talk about neurodiversity, we're looking beyond the traditional archetypes of workplace inclusion. We're embracing an expansive view of the world. We're looking beyond that traditional approach, and we're really looking at how we acknowledge and value the makeup of all people. So neurodiversity encompasses this idea that brain differences in our big human family and all of humanity, including differences commonly seen in conditions that are prevalent in the veteran community, like PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, depressions, and more. Neurodiversity encompasses all of those differences, and it teaches us that the strengths and challenges these conditions bring to the table are important, and they should be leveraged to create a richer, more dynamic, more inclusive environment. So in our offices, in our workplaces, on our teams, with our colleagues, we should strive to be more than just a space for people to come to do their job, a space for people to do work. We should strive for these spaces to be sanctuaries of support and understanding for people to be able to be their true authentic selves. So one suggestion for how we can achieve that is establishing quiet areas or quiet spaces for solitude. If we do that, we're not merely offering a place to work. We're actually acknowledging the need for mental respite, sensory breaks. These spaces are vital for those who have served, particularly people who have served in environments where hypervigilance was necessary, for example. There are times where you just need quiet, you just need solitude. Similarly, another thing that we can do is flexible scheduling. That's not just a convenience. It actually is a way for organizations to show they recognize the importance of mental health and well-being. So offering our veterans the respect and dignity to attend to their medical and therapeutic needs without that additional stress, that added stress of having to work the conventional work hours. One other thing we can do is in our hybrid workspaces, think about technology. It's a powerful tool for inclusion. So digital accommodations like screen readers and captioning services, though they are hopefully widespread in all of our organizations, that they should be commonplace by now. But what do those things do? They tell us a clear message that our organizations are committed to removing barriers and creating bridges for everybody to connect and contribute effectively. These tools often get talked about within the concept of accessibility, and I appreciate that, but they're not just about accessibility. It's really about ensuring every member of the team, regardless of who they are and what their background is, can engage fully and equally. And having that type of technology available creates a more universally accessible and universally designed workplace. And then lastly, one last strategy I want to suggest is for veterans who might be working completely from home, remote. Creating a sensory-friendly environment is about more than just an ergonomic chair or high-speed internet. What we really want to do is we want to consider the sensory inputs that could be overwhelming for some, the need for structure and routine that can be crucial for others, and that importance, again, of flexibility that allows all to work in ways that best suit their individual needs. So this respect for personalization, particularly in that remote setting, isn't just a pathway to comfort for an employee. It's a cornerstone of productivity. And it's a testament to our commitment to inclusivity. So as we continue to strive for having adapted workplaces, let's remember that the goal is not to have veterans fit into pre-existing molds, but really to rethink and reshape our environments to embrace everyone's unique abilities. It's about creating spaces that are not just physically accessible, but also cognitively welcoming for every cognitive style. Our veterans have a myriad of abilities and experiences, and they're not just employees. They're vital contributors to the collective mission of every organization. They're agents of change. They're leaders who can help us chart new courses in innovation and excellence. They're top performers. They're people who contribute in every level of an organization. And then particularly recognizing and accommodating the disabilities and neurodivergent conditions of veterans isn't just an act of compliance. It's a strategic imperative. If we really want to build an organization that's resilient and adaptive and innovative, then we need to recognize disabilities and neurodivergent conditions. So it's a commitment to valuing diverse experiences and perspectives that veterans bring to our workplace. It's an investment in the future where every individual has the opportunity to thrive. So in summary, if you're ready to take that investment or you're valuing diversity, then these are the 3 strategies we talked about to embrace veterans. One is the dedicated quiet spaces and that flexibility of scheduling. It's hugely important. Another is leveraging technology, like widely available things such as screen readers and captioning services. But I'd also throw in doing regular check-ins with people when they're working remote of any kind. And then lastly is if someone's working completely remote, really understanding their needs from a sensory standpoint and discussing your ability to provide necessary modifications or accommodations to personalize that space, whether it be on-site or in the office. If we do these things, we're making the workplace more accessible. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to touch on, and that is training. I think training is so important. It's not just because I'm learning and development director. I think I'm learning and development director because I think training is so important. If cultivating an inclusive workplace is our journey, then it's really vital for organizations to engage in training programs, because these programs acknowledge the unique skills, abilities, and needs of people with disabilities. And when we focus on veterans, I have a couple suggestions for topics that we should consider that I don't think it talked about enough. One is trauma-informed workplace practices. So trauma significantly impacts individuals in their work life, and understanding that is crucial. Training should educate employees and management on recognizing the signs of trauma and symptoms. A trauma-informed workplace session should delve into identifying potential trauma triggers, for example, in the workplace that might affect veterans with PTSD or other trauma-related conditions. It could talk about how certain sounds or visuals or even workplace dynamics could inadvertently cause distress to someone. This training is crucial. It did provide guidance on fostering a supportive environment that minimizes these triggers and on how to respond compassionately if veterans are triggered. And it's not about treating veterans with kid gloves. It's about creating a supportive environment that understands how an individual may feel. And therefore, we can provide psychological safety in the workplace as a result. Another thing that I don't think it's talked about enough when we're talking about working with veterans is cultural competency training. So those who serve in the military undergo a unique cultural experience that continues into civilian life and makes that transition that much more difficult for them. And cultural competency training should enlighten the workforce about military culture, its values, the impact on communication and work ethic, and how we work with leaders. It could cover topics like chain of command and decision-making processes that are distinct to the military that will inform us on how certain individuals may work or how they prefer to work. And ultimately, this goal will help us create a more inclusive culture with more sensitivity and appreciation to our colleagues with military experience. And then the last thing that I would emphasize, I talked about how widespread technology accessibility is, screen readers and closed captioning is an example. But surprisingly, the assistive technology training is not as always widely available. And typically, it's not something that everyone participates in. So it's something that I think would be hugely beneficial for others to understand the potential of that technology so that we can further our confidence in individuals, particularly veterans, who rely on those tools and benefit from those tools, and ultimately would lead to fostering more independence and opportunity for those individuals. And so learning as much as we can about that technology is key. So these are recommended training programs that I think serve multiple purposes, creating an environment that acknowledges and supports the unique experiences of veterans. They promote the development of essential skills for all employees. They empower veterans with disabilities to reach their fullest potential. I believe firmly that this training ensures veterans' experiences such as leadership skills honed in high-pressure environments, or problem solving in complex situations, or their distinct sense of team cohesion are not just recognized as potential value, but fully integrated into an organization's fabric if we're able to adopt this type of training. Now, we've discussed some training opportunities, some strategies. One last thing I want to touch on is what Veterans Day should represent. You know, it's a moment of patriotic observance. It's a time for us to rekindle our commitment to those who've served. And while we honor their courage and sacrifice, we also have to focus on the living testament of their service, the veterans themselves, who are part of our workforce and our community. And that's why the training is so important and these strategies are so important. But what should we really be doing around Veterans Day every year? So first and foremost, if we emphasize Veterans Day in our organizations, it just reaffirms our commitment to understanding and supporting the veteran community within the workforce. That transcends token gesture every year. It becomes a symbol that means something and moves activity and action year round. Another thing is that it raises more awareness about issues facing veterans, gives us an opportunity to hear their stories, for them to talk about their experiences. And that alone fosters deeper understanding in our organizations and moves that culture in the direction we want to go. Another benefit is it encourages engagement. The more opportunities we have to engage with Veterans Day means more people are connected to those stories that we're sharing. And it becomes a catalyst for more conversations on how we can support veteran colleagues and ensure inclusivity. And then the last thing is I think it sets a precedent. When we start our year strategically with recognizing Veterans Day, then there's this expectation, if we're going year round, that we've done things, that we've made the workplace more accessible for veterans. So I really truly thank all of you for being here for this important conversation. And I want to turn it back over to Evan because this is something we firmly believe in on a fundamental level, and truly feel if you take any of these actions, even one of them, training or something that makes the workplace a bit more accessible, then you've had a significant impact on individuals, and small incremental change leads to big changes over time.
Thank you so much, John. I could actually listen to you talk all day long. So it's tough because there's so much content to get through that a short platform like this is just not enough to cover it. So I do thank everybody for joining us. And John, thank you so much for everything you brought to us. There is a tremendous amount of insight here you've provided to generate actual genuine action. And committing to fostering an inclusive workplace for veterans, it's not just a mission, it's a responsibility that extends to all of us beyond these virtual walls. This is just a conversation, but you've provided us with actual useful tools, right? So I think each of us can make a difference, and actively engaging in inclusivity and implementing inclusive practices, small actions, just like you said, they do lead to that significant change. If anybody is on the call and is interested in learning more, wants to have a conversation, establishing best practices program within your company, or if you need any resources, please do reach out. Let us know. Sit with us, and let's see if we can partner together in the future.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. John, I loved listening to you.
Thank you,
and I hope everybody has a great weekend coming up.
All right. Thank you, everyone.